Is it me? I mean, everywhere I turn, all I see is AI can think like a human. AI is taking our jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I keep on seeing headlines swinging from the apocalyptic of AI will take over the world to really optimistic saying AI will solve the climate crisis.
And I just see advertising, honestly. But when I think about AI, I do wonder, given what we do on this show, could it commit the perfect crime?
That's the right question. And with that, welcome to What the Hack, the true cybercrime podcast. I'm Adam Levin.
I'm Beau Friedlander.
And I'm Travis Taylor.
Today, we're headed down the AI rabbit hole. But unlike a lot of conversation about how AI can help us, we wonder, could AI be used to outsmart us?
We're talking about AI running the whole show, hacking into financial systems, coordinating multiple cyber attacks, manipulating stock markets, even crippling national infrastructure.
A heist so perfectly orchestrated, it would make Ocean's 11 look like a petty cash grab. But instead of Danny Ocean leading the charge, imagine AI pulling the strings.
So the question is, how close are we to that actually becoming reality? And more importantly, how can we protect ourselves from those sorts of crimes?
Let's start with a little thought experiment. What if AI could plan and execute the perfect crime? What's the worst case scenario?
I mean, hypothetically speaking, someone could just customize an AI to be able to sniff out vulnerabilities in financial institutions, strike when the time is right, look for known vulnerabilities in software.
Okay, well, let's just compare what we're talking about here to, I don't know, Stuxnet. Stuxnet was the computer virus designed to sabotage Iran's nuclear program by causing their semen centrifuges to spin out of control. It spread like a regular virus, but specifically targeted and damaged one piece of industrial machinery. Let's say that AI creates the ultimate Stuxnet.
But let's not talk about Stuxnet just yet. It's too complicated. Let's just say that AI shifts funds through a complex web of accounts, making money nearly impossible to trace. In the physical world, it uses deepfakes. I don't know, maybe voice mimicking software to impersonate key personnel, ensuring all communications appear legitimate.
I see where you're going. So just when you think it couldn't get any worse, there's some other diversion. Maybe AI directed drones that are, attacking things. It could be anything. The point is, our understanding of what AI can do right now is limited to the ads and consumer-facing stuff that we see about it.
What we're talking about here is something bigger.
But how close are we to seeing something like this actually happen? Can AI really pull off something as sophisticated as Lights Out, Planet Earth, or No More Money for You, Planet Earth, or Oh, You Like Eating? Too bad, Planet Earth.
To find out, we spoke with Doug Guyon, a generative AI specialist from Yabble.
At a company called Yabble. We're a generative AI company that's been around since 2019.
And Edward Goodman, who's our insider on AI ethics and policy.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be talking to you today.
So what actually is AI?
So I think large language models are largely the public's first exposure to AI in a dramatic way, even though it's been used for years in everyone's life with fraud detection in credit cards, with Amazon, with major e-commerce sites. So AI has been around a long time. It's been in everyone's life. But it sort of, the AI grenade blew up all over the world in December of 21 with ChatGPT or 22. And so,
given how AI is advancing, is it capable of this sort of Lex Luthor-like crime? I mean, what's the worst case scenario? Here's Eddie Goodman.
The worst case scenario is, I'm trying to think. Truth is, I'm not that scared yet.
Can AI make decisions on its own without the agency of a human being involved?
I'd say life and death decisions, no. What your credit score is, yeah. So yeah, it's to some degree. Tons of little things, being and little decisions being made in the background, where there's major decision making, there's always a human right now that's interceding. Even in military applications, there's built-in safeguards to those types of situations.
Right. So AI has not yet reached a point where it can be generative in a way that would allow an AI program to remove the guardrails.
Well, there is jailbreaking of AI. You can jailbreak AI, and there's a whole new, that's a big issue right now. So they're finding that certain prompts can actually get rid of guardrails that are built in. So even ChatGPT has guardrails. What I mean by that is if I were to say, hey, help me write a computer virus will let me, that'll act as ransomware on a PC. That's a easily used and commonly used example, right? And plenty of people have written about this.
It'll say no. It'll say absolutely no.
It'll say no, ransomware is unethical, it causes lots of harm, all of these types of things, right? Now, there's capabilities out there. I mean, you could use that, say, hey, help me design a nuclear device, help me design anything that would harm another human.
It's going to say, we can't do that. Yeah.
What they're finding, though, is that, and this is what criminals are doing, actually, in some respect, when they are leveraging a lot of AI tools, is they can bypass those safeguards through actually some certain prompts, right? And this is the issue. This comes back to everything technology I've worked in since I've been interested in this on my old TRS-80 as a kid, is that security is always often and thought of as secondary to everything, right? And so they're finding that you can enter certain questions and prompts that will jailbreak, so to speak, that AI system and remove those safeguards.
What about you, Doug? Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
Here's what very little worries me, but I'll tell you what does worry me, not specifically about my industry or my use case, but AI has already advanced beyond humans' ability to fully appreciate how quickly it's moving. And particularly in our country, right, people have forgotten that there are facts, and they have lost interest in evaluating facts. And it is going to become increasingly hard, if not nearly impossible, to be able to evaluate information that's presented and determine if it's factual or not. And unless you have an interest in determining that, you can start to simply accept as part and parcel anything that algorithmically has been served up to you, because it is going to know what you want and what you don't want, right? You don't even have to self-select anymore. It'll be self-selected for you. So you create these sort of homogeneous streams where it isn't even about disinformation, because relative to itself, it's what the people want. So it's as accurate as what facts used to be, which is there was a fact and it was objectively verified and validated and agreed upon. I've seen that whole system devolve and break down. And what concerns me is it's very easy. It's nearly trivial to be able to, from an algorithm perspective, determine what people do and don't want to see. And you can have this sort of fragmented universe of parallel realities, all of which are agreed upon as being valid by the owner of that individual reality. And over the next few years, when you think about hyper-personalization, which is where AI is going in my mind, less broad and more hyper, where I'm going to tell you, Beau, exactly what you want to know about anything you want. And I know you and I know everything about you because I have access to your data and your information.
And my devices.
And your devices. Well, I think of that as data. And I think AI will become hyper-personalized and facts will fall apart. And it becomes very hard to coalesce as a society when there isn't an objective viewpoint on what's true and what's not. That worries me a great deal.
Okay, well, I'm not sleeping again until the election.
Well, that's the threat to democracy, but what's the criminal threat here?
I mean, what a lot of folks were worried about as we started seeing generative AI really explode is that criminal organizations would create their own AIs to basically be able to do these nefarious things. It's not happening. There's, I think, one example of it, but it's just too cost heavy. It's too data heavy. It's very difficult. But what they can do to get to the same ends is just use commercially available AI and jailbreak them to do that, right? And you're seeing this in creation of deep fakes now. You're seeing this in, usage of AI tools that were meant for either creative, or other purposes, for everything from video generation to face mapping, being used in fraudulent, criminal, racist, and sort of all sorts of horrible ways, with plenty of different examples if we want to talk about. But again, they're not building these tools anymore. They're trying to even build them from what most of the research says, but they are leveraging them now. And they are starting to use them in real world examples, actually.
So AI isn't the criminal mastermind of our nightmares just yet.
It's not even a mastermind. Right now, it's just a lot of hooey. Sparkle, sizzle in the pan, no steak. It's a lot of bullshit. There's something to it, for sure. The closest thing we have seen to AI and crime being a thing, we're going to be doing an episode on it later this summer. But we're talking hypothetically right now.
If this isn't a real threat yet, what are the ways in which AI is being used to commit crimes today?
To answer that, we need to look at how AI is currently being weaponized in the cybercriminal toolkit.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
So it's time to break it down. How is AI actually being used in cybercrime today? Let's see if we can get this into 3 categories.
Well, offhand, I'd have to say that the first would have to be AI-assisted crime. And that's where criminals use AI-based tools to enhance just traditional methods and scams. So think about AI generating a convincing phishing email or a more convincing phishing email, or creating fake images to support scams.
The second thing is not quite happening just yet, and that would be something along the lines of AI-directed crime. It would still require a prompter, meaning a human being, a criminal in this case, who would be saying, I want to steal this from, X from Y, and I want it to be in this city. What do I do? And AI might be able to help design or run a complex financial scam or some other crime for said criminal. It would be doing it, though, in a jailbreak mode.
And 3 really hasn't happened yet. AI as mastermind. The hypothetical future we imagined at the top of the episode?
I mean, right, we're right now only seeing that first type of crime, and AI is a powerful tool and it can be in the hands of cybercriminals, but it's not like the autonomous bad guy Terminator type of thing, or an all-powerful tool for a James Bond villain.
Sure. I mean, AI can help a criminal do stuff, but there's no mastermind here. It's all just people doing stuff they've always done. It's the same old crimes, made slightly easier with think of it as like a digital assistant, sort of.
Indeed.
AI is used in a variety of ways by cybercriminals. For instance, AI-powered phishing attacks are becoming more common. These attacks use machine learning to analyze massive amounts of data and craft highly personalized and convincing email that trick even the savviest individuals in handing over sensitive information.
AI is changing our world fast, and criminals are taking advantage. Here's how AI is transforming online crimes and what you need to know to protect yourself. Since the launch of ChatGPT, phishing attacks have surged 1,300%. We're seeing more of them, and the quality is better.
So the English is... They're just reinvigorating. Everything old is new again. I mean, you're talking about reinvigorating old scams by adding some extra spice that makes them more believable.
And of course, there are deepfakes. And we've all seen those viral videos of celebrities saying or doing things that they've never said or done.
Pop star Taylor Swift, and politicians such as US President Joe Biden.
It's important that you save your vote for the November election.
And London's Mayor Sadiq Khan have all found themselves victims of deepfakes in recent months.
I control the Met Police. They will do as the Mayor of London tells them and obey orders.
Dodgy deepfakes created using readily available AI-powered tools have spread like wildfire across social media, sowing seeds of mistrust and blurring the lines between reality and...
So from a global standpoint, you're more likely to have a really believable deepfake and from a political standpoint that has been using AI to make it look like a world leader is doing something extremely inappropriate,
or a world leader is about to unleash a nuclear war.
Or that too, exactly. Or anything again, inappropriate. That's I guess, a step above. But you get what I'm saying. Like I think those types of things and that sort of disinformation, misinformation type of avenue is on the global scale, probably the easiest because information and memes spread virally, right? And you don't need much to do that, and you don't need much computing power, and those are easy tools. I think like disrupting a power grid, that's a different story. I mean, the thing is that okay, how are you going to do it? Even if you're using it they're used a lot. Listen, power grid is its own issue. Bricking in entire brands of electric vehicles without naming any specific brands is a potential possibility if people find a way. Everything's distributed over air. Now there's not even to pick on Tesla. It could be Rivian, it could be Tesla, it could be Ford, F-150s, whatever it is. Doesn't even need to be electric anymore. That's the other issue. So where we as people right now, today, at this very moment, face real risk, it's financial. And I think it is again, all about low-hanging fruit because things like fraud, that's all it's about. Where AI is now being leveraged is in kind of repurposing old scams. So let's talk about electronic wire transfer fraud. An easy example. On an executive business level, because that's where the real money is. Very easy now to basically have it appear that a phone call is coming from the CEO to their secretary or CFO with a face mapped, AI sort of deep fake that's live. That's now asking, hey, I'm in a bind. We need to get this deal done. I need you to transfer, $2 million to this account, and not only that, it's easy to also use AI to gather enough information and background on that executive from a personal level, from social media, from everything out there, way better than Google search and other types of manual process to be able to say, oh, by the way, and even the secretary, hey, oh, by the way, how's your kid doing? You can leverage this to find out that, so you're getting credibility.
Listen, some very sophisticated people have used deepfake technology to impersonate executives in Zoom calls. And it might not have been Zoom, actually. It could have been any service. I don't know what it was. But at least in one case, that kind of deepfake was used to authorize a huge financial transaction.
Later in the show, we're going to give you some tips on how to protect yourself and your business from these AI-driven threats. But first, let's take a closer look at some real-world cases where AI has been used to commit crimes. At the top of the show, we were talking about the Hollywood version of AI orchestrating a crime of epic proportions. But what about the real world? How is AI actually being used by criminals today?
Well, I remember not too long ago, we spoke to Jennifer DeStefano, who was a mom from Arizona, and she experienced firsthand how completely terrifying and convincing AI deepfakes can be.
She received a call that no parent ever wants to get. It was from her daughter, or she thought it was her daughter.
On the phone was my daughter, who was sobbing, saying, "Mom," and she was crying and sobbing some more, and she goes, "Mom, I messed up." So I'm thinking she got hurt. We'll deal with it moving forward. And then all of a sudden I heard a man's voice say, "Lay down, put your head back." And then she goes, "Mom, these bad men have me. Help me, help me, help me." And I'm like, wait, what? after I had just gotten out of my car and I had a bunch of things in my hands. So I had it on speaker. And this man gets on the phone and he tells me, listen here, I have your daughter. You tell anybody, you call the cops. I'm going to pop her full of drugs, have my way with her, and I'm going to drop her in Mexico and you'll never see your daughter again. And in the background, she's crying and sobbing and pleading for my help.
Right. Whatever she heard, the voice on the other end, she thought was a frantic and scared version of her kid, claiming to be kidnapped. And Jennifer could hear her crying, she said, and pleading, and it sounded like her daughter.
Here's the twist. Her daughter was safe the entire time. She was in the mountains training for a skiing competition.
I was in Flagstaff skiing with my little brother.
The voice on the call was a deepfake.
My mom called me and she was crying, like bawling.
An AI-generated replica designed to manipulate and instill fear.
These types of scams are already happening. The FBI put a warning out back in May talking about exactly this. Like, AI is going to be and is already being leveraged to create deep fakes to basically piggyback on well-known scams and reinvigorate them, right? And these are commercially easily available solutions that, again, can be jailbroken and can be then used to easily defraud people. It can be used and is being used via telephone now for similar scams when you're calling family members saying, hey, I'm stuck in Mexico. I need you to wire me $10,000.
Or I've been kidnapped.
100%, yeah.
Jennifer was convinced that it was her daughter because AI had mimicked her voice, including her tone and her cadence.
Guys, I know you get mad at me every time I say this, but I'm still skeptical about this whole story. I'm not sure how much, if any, of that story had anything to do with AI. What's clear is that AI has the potential for that kind of deception, even if we can't always separate fact from fiction right now in the stories we see and the kinds of things we see online.
There's definitely some room for skepticism here, but this type of technology ultimately isn't just for fraudsters. It can be used to extort and a bunch of other malicious activities.
Whatever happened, Jennifer's story is a very real marker for how AI deepfakes can be used to exploit our trust in what we see and what we hear. Now, it's one thing to read about deepfakes. It's another to hear a loved one's voice used against you in such a horrifying way.
And remember, the technology is advancing rapidly.
Well, you alluded to this a little earlier in the episode, but recently there was a case involving a $25 million scam that was potentially driven by AI and deepfake technology.
Just last month, a finance worker in Hong Kong got scammed into paying a whopping $25 million to scammers who used deepfake technology to successfully pose as a company executive during an entire Zoom meeting. Now, Hong Kong police...
Criminals use deepfakes to impersonate a CFO during a video call, and they convinced a lower-level employee to authorize a massive transfer of funds, making them believe that they were following direct orders from their boss.
So we reached out to some of our friends in law enforcement. We wanted to know what they were seeing on the ground, anything to do with an AI-driven crime. And most of them said they haven't encountered any of these cases.
Listen, that's actually... You're being very nice, Adam, but all of them.
You're right.
So I reached out to a friend of mine in sort of Interpol circles, and they went on a huge rant about AI, saying that they couldn't stand the theories being bandied about, mostly on the media, but you also see it on LinkedIn, and that they don't know anything about what's actually going on. They're just repeating the same wrong information, and that everyone is wrong.
Everyone?
Maybe not everyone, but I think that there's just so much to borrow something from politics again. There's so much misinformation here.
All we hear is theory, we hear speculation, but we could be on the cusp of seeing something real happen, and that's the scary part.
Well, yeah, but then we get to, again, not in the near term, but it was Zoom's president, I think, who talked about creating an AI double that could sit in on meetings for you and would know enough about you to be able to do that and would have predictive behavior to know how you would react or question, which leads to that obvious of how far will it take before AI is able to know enough about you to predictively know what your password might be, predictively know some of that information, or at least have enough of an educated guess that they could get through in 5 attempts or 3 attempts. I don't know. Again, that to me is where the predictive analytic aspect would, depending on how much data they have on a person. But I mean, we're having chat GPTs of people's dead loved ones that exist, right? So how far are we from really thinking about, a digital version of me that can be used to guess my password?
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso Virtual Coffee Machines. Ready to enjoy the bold flavors of barista-quality Nespresso iced coffee at home? Simply fill a glass with ice and press the brew button on your virtual pop machine to enjoy rich double espressos roasted to stand up even when chilled. Refreshingly bold iced coffee. Refreshingly easy to make at home. Visit Nespresso.com to shop now.
So, Eddie, if we're not scared about the Ocean 11 version of AI, what should we be worried about?
I'm not quite that scared yet. I'm scared about, again, big fraud. I'm scared about my own bank account, to be quite honest with you. That's what I'm scared about. I'm scared about my retirement savings. I'm scared about my accounts that I have somehow being accessed through somebody who can learn enough about me or listen to this and get a voice print and easily go through, if they have the right information, my bank's, verification systems, if they get access to the right info, and me having very, very hard time proving otherwise when it's voice recordings or even a facial ID or, because that's what they're, or what appears to be a driver's license. That's what I'm worried about, worst case scenario. Here's the problem with AI. What is my fear today? Because of how exponentially it's growing and how much it's, the data sets they're building it on are expanding, that concern might be, it might be end of world type of scenario in 6 months. I don't know, and I think that's what we're seeing is that, Moore's law, it's in play in AI as well, like this compounding of intellectual interest, if you want to call it, by these AI systems. That's what scares me, because the capabilities are gonna, even in 3 to 5 years, eclipse what we're really thinking about today. It's gonna seem almost some way, kind of cutesy, the risks I think that we're thinking about right now versus what we're gonna talk about in 2027.
Okay, so what about this scenario? You'll recall in the beginning of the episode, we talked about Stuxnet, the computer virus designed to sabotage Iran's nuclear program. So what would Stuxnet look like now if it was AI assisted? It would be way more powerful, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key is that at this stage, it's probably still a government actor. Stuxnet was written by a government actor, Israel-US joint action there. But absolutely, I think what you're now doing is you putting the ability to write code like that on steroids. Like the variability now allows, and the scalability that AI gives you allows you to very easily, in the hands of a few people, create those types of codes. So I think a Stuxnet now would look less like targeting a specific device, nuclear centrifuge that is made by Siemens, I believe, if it was my recollections correct. It's been a while. And now more of, a power, I don't know, different things involved in the power distribution manufactured by Siemens, manufactured by Motorola, manufactured by whatever, right? And that's the thing. It's suddenly you're bringing Stuxnet into the modern age by making it scalable across different manufactured devices, right? Very easily. So it's suddenly not just one device. It's an industry that uses a collection of devices or, 2 or 3 different competitors within there, that now it's easy to just, have a pocket knife sort of with all these different tools that are drafted and created by AI from a coding standpoint.
It's like doping and the Russian Olympic team. Come on. So they just doped the whole system.
100%.
Putting everything on steroids. It's what I'm hearing. And so sure, if some criminal or nation state has this AI Stuxnet, your bank and your investment accounts are toast. I mean, I should say they may get targeted. And there's probably enough information out there for a criminal to use in order to get access. But what if a criminal organization were to, instead of targeting you or me, target Bank of America or Charles Schwab or JP Morgan? And everyone at that institution lost their money because all the money at that institution disappeared. Now, I know, I should say it's not likely, because I happen to know someone at one of those big organizations who is of legal counsel there. He's actually the legal counsel. And so I happen to know that there's redundancies. There are 2 or 3 times a day, air-gapped information about everyone's accounts. And so there's no way that you would be able to do anything with that. As I recall, the Siemens centrifuges in Iran were also air-gapped.
Well, I think the issue is maybe not Bank of America or Wells Fargo or a Chase, but certainly your credit union or your community bank, even if it's
sure.
Because I think there's a lot of very large financial institutions in this country that don't have that same security posture that, again, could easily fall risk. They're using common vendors for their back-end solutions versus building it themselves. And so that's a financial one.
The air-gapped 3 times a day backed up giant banking organizations' data is susceptible to the same kind of attack that Stuxnet inflicted on Iran centrifuges, meaning to say that there's something in circulation, a little tiny piece of code that nobody notices, that somehow eventually, like dust motes in sunlight, find its way into that offsite, find its way into that air-gapped offsite, and then there's just a trigger and boom, everyone's done.
I think the difference is in the Stuxnet, it was a Siemens control system, and that was it. My point is that it's a small little control system where this is not complex. It's not multiple systems. It's not APIs. It's not all sorts of other things that are crossing over. Very, very, very concentrated laser focus on the code and on probably some sort of Bluetooth or some other connection that was not shut down properly on those devices. But I think the other side is what we're talking about in this financial crime scenario is a major banking institution that it's not just one set of server farms, it's multiple. They're all over the world.
Quantum computing and AI yoked to the problem set of creating something that could do this thing with no guardrails, a completely jailbreaked version of all this technology. It just scares me. I think that the sky's the limit as to what it could accomplish.
Yeah, I think so. But that to me is like a 10-year from now problem, to be honest with you.
No, okay. That's exactly what they said about climate change.
Well, that's a constant. Well, but again, it's also to your point, and to my point, it's an evolution. So it's not a jump 10 years and suddenly we're there. We're going to see that slow build, and you might see, areas that could be, subject to that risk collapse within an organization like that. But I think that at least from my knowledge, I've worked in a large, financial institution, but not on the banking side. But with the disparate systems, the way they're doing it, I just think right now it's probably a lower risk than, from that standpoint.
You know, it was Vladimir Ilyich Lenin who said there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen.
And therein lay, and that's where I think you're right. I think where something could happen. We could have that Mr. Robot moment, right? And I don't think it's particularly that far off. And I try not to wear my paranoid conspiracy or paranoid like world's going to end hat, but I think being a risk management, you have to have that in the back of your head that, especially with AI, especially where we're heading, it's not too unforeseen to be able to dream up a scenario where a cascade effect like that could happen.
If you're not paranoid, you're not paying attention.
No, 100%. Or you're just living, or you have a false sense of security, which unfortunately I do think a majority of people do have, and majority of leadership has, and I don't think until we see a few smaller examples of this, people are really going to find, religion. Everyone's worried about the, Terminator moment of AI, but I don't think it's going to be quite that drastic. I think it needs to be subtle, but look at the pandemic. It just takes subtle to completely upend our society. And I think that's something that we need to really be worried about more than those drastic world-ending moments. It's something that triggers it. Even just distrust in the financial system. One story and one incident at a large financial institution, and there's a run on the banks. Who knows, right? So that's where I get worried.
With all these threats in mind, what can we do to protect ourselves from AI-driven cyber threats?
The first steps are always education and awareness. Understanding how these work and recognizing the science can help you not fall victim to them.
We've given these tips before. They apply here as well. We call them the 3 M's. How do you minimize your risk of exposure, reduce your attackable surface? How do you monitor so you know exactly when you're having a problem so you can do something about it? And then, how do you manage the damage once you know you have a problem?
But, okay, monitor, at least in the doomsday scenario, it's like you go to turn the water on, it's not working. There's no internet, there's no lights, and a rocket ship goes by your house completely on fire, like leaking aliens. I don't know. If we're talking about cybercrime as it stands now, as it is assisted by AI, then nothing has changed, right? Freeze your credit. Be careful. If you think something's wrong, just stop. Turn your computer off.
It's not a bad idea to use intelligent passwords. Maybe some 2-factor authentication.
Use a password manager. At this point, the randomization that a password manager can give you on passwords far surpasses anything that a human can come up with. And AI, like he said, that's something it is going to be able to do soon. It's going to be able to kind of take the measure of a man and figure out what his password probably is.
You sure you want to use the word man?
I think as I said it, I was thinking it was the wrong word, so thank you. It's going to take the measure of a person. Thank you.
Correct. To me, the most important M when you're dealing with AI is how do you manage the damage? And if you're a company, there's a lot of things that you need to do. First of all, you have to figure out where the problem is and plug it. Then you have to figure out how you present to your customers, your employees, your business partners, exactly how you're going to help them. And this is not just, it's the tech group. It has to be the legal department, the HR department, outside communications, outside cybersecurity company, as well as your inside people, all working together.
And like we talked about earlier, when it comes to deepfakes, skepticism is your best defense. Verify the authenticity of the communications, especially if they have any requests for sensitive information or financial transactions. And use different methods to confirm that the person you're speaking to or communicating with is actually that person. Call them on the phone or talk to them face to face.
Let's just get to the point where it's okay to ask somebody, are you real or are you a deepfake? It's just about staying prepared and anticipating new threats, because I promise you, they're there and they're coming.
Remember, while the technology evolves, the basic principles of cybersecurity remain consistent. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and always question what you see and hear.
We covered a lot of ground today, from AI orchestrating the perfect crime to its current role in enhancing cybercrime.
Yeah, I mean, AI isn't keeping me awake at night. I mean, but there's for sure some risks out there.
But with the right knowledge and precautions, we can navigate these challenges and protect ourselves.
AI is, as we talked about, it's morphing all the time, and that evolution could become exponential at any time. We're going to talk about the crime we mentioned earlier in an upcoming episode. Stay tuned, because who knows what's next.
So thank you for joining us today. Stay safe, stay informed, and thank you, Doug and Eddie, for all your invaluable insight today.
Okay, it's time for our tinfoil swan.
Our paranoid takeaway to help keep you safe on and offline.
So, what's on your mind, Adam?
Nothing at the moment. But this week we're going to focus on what's on your bank statement and your smartphone app store account and your credit and debit card accounts.
You're casting a rather wide net, I see.
Fishing metaphors! I will say there has never been a human being who is more aware of what's being charged, where, and by whom than Adam.
Let's just call it an early detection system.
You're the precog of scam prevention.
I love Minority Report. We talked a lot about how privacy laws or the lack of them could result in a similar dystopia. That said, I have no special powers. I just read my transactions every minute of every day. All of them.
I certainly try to do the same.
What exactly are you looking for, Obi-Wan?
I pay particularly close attention to, smaller charges, because if a criminal can get $9.49 for me and 1,000 other people, they've had a good day.
There are 2 Spotify charges on my credit card every month, and I have yet to investigate if they are for my daughter's accounts, just to be full disclosure here.
It's actually me, but that's precisely the sort of thing that I see and I question.
And for the record, Spotify has family accounts, so you might just want to consolidate there, but that all sounds rather time-consuming.
Not really. I also have transaction alerts set on all my financial accounts, so I have a sense of what's transpired every minute of every day.
True, if you don't, it's true. So, and the same here, because of you. And what that means time-wise, for me at least, is when I'm reviewing my accounts, I recognize almost everything from the alert. So I'm just scanning for anything that looks out of place.
I have taught you well, haven't I?
Yes.
Our tinfoil swan, that is. What the Hack with Adam Levin is a production of Loud Tree Media. You can find us online at adamlevin.com and on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Adam K. Levin.
Behind every empire are the people history tried to forget. Lost Roman Heroes tells the stories of the remarkable characters who shaped Rome from its mythical beginnings to its final fall.
Each episode blends armchair storytelling, sharp historical insight, and a bit of humor to bring these lost figures to life. From generals to scientists, from rebels to empresses, from priests to politicians, these lost Roman heroes have one thing in common.
They stood up for civilization when the bad guys threatened, and in doing so, they changed the course of human history. If you're into history that's vivid, surprising, and deeply human, this show's for you.
Behind every great meal is a person with a story to tell. Hear them on Culinary Characters Unlocked, the podcast that reveals the lives behind the food. Hosted by me, David Page, Emmy Award-winning journalist and creator of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, as I talk with everyone from culinary legends to mom-and-pop standouts about the creativity, grit, and passion that shape the food we love. Follow Culinary Characters Unlocked on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.